Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? Better Than Your Average is the channel and the movement. How Did We Get Here is the show. I'm your host, Jay Carter, sitting here eating some raw almonds and sipping on a little light veggie plant-based smoothie, a little plant-based protein. But I'm your host. I got my co-host with the mostest, the man that's always heard and never seen, Schemes.
What it do, peoples?
So again, How Did We Get Here is the show. Two cousins like brothers discussing any and everything and the process. So we want to welcome y'all back. Thanks for tuning in. Please, I've been getting so much feedback from y'all on texts and DMs and a couple emails, but for us to pop up in these algorithms, y'all, we need y'all to like, comment, subscribe, share. All that stuff is gonna move us up in the algorithms and everything. So we appreciate your support. We also have our Cash App if you want to support us monetarily. We'll put the link in the description, but it's that $HDWGH. All right. How did we get here? So it's the acronym for that. So, man, we appreciate y'all. Love, peace, and blessings. Again, just salute to everybody. Still, as we're going through the age of the Rona, and we just send love, our honest love and prayers out to the nation and anybody that's going through it, man. Again, we just praying for you and your family and hope that everybody is healed, healthy, blessed, and prosperous. So I wanted to there's a guy, me and Schemes talked about this, named Kevin Samuels, relationship guy. Talks a lot of relationship stuff, high value. He's always talking high value and CIA, I think it's CIA men, and I forgot what it is for women. I can't remember. I might be mixing it up, but he got into a discussion, and ladies, please let me know what you think about this. He got into a discussion with a young lady where the topic of conversation was basically the type of men that you're looking for. We're talking about high value men, and he has, these parameters for high, quote unquote, high value. So there's a young lady on the phone, and the topic was, as a woman in relationship, can you have it all? Right? And we asked you ladies the same question. Can you have it all? Is there such thing as having it all in a relationship? Now, his point of view, and I agree with that point of view, is there's no such thing as having it all. None of us, even as individuals, have it, quote unquote, all. But these women were calling into the show saying, yes, you can have it all. And her example that she gave of having it all was Michelle Obama and Beyonce. So first of all, you've named as your example of having it all as two of the most extreme outliers that you will ever see, right? Then for herself, she's a college graduate. I believe she was 26, 27 years old. And she currently makes, I think she said, roughly $50,000 a year. Okay. Good, honest living. But she was saying, Kevin will ask some questions like, do you want a man that can support you where you don't have to work after having children? Yes. She was talking about, I want to be able to take trips to Africa, to Europe, and da-da-da-da. He's like, so you understand that you're talking about a guy that's making, let's say, a rough estimate, low side, $500,000 a year to $1 million. She's like, yeah. He's like, do you understand that you're talking about literally 1% of the population is what you're saying your expectation is in a man? So my sentiment to you guys is, this is where me and Schemes talk about selection process. This is where we talk about reality. And see what happens on there when he talks to these women about having a high value man, and all of them basically argue him down that I can have one. He's saying that while we talk about high value, it doesn't mean less or little of you if you don't have the high value man.
Also, one of those outliers has been disqualified
Go ahead.
because Jay cheated on Beyonce. Once, at least once. I mean, they also had the fight in the elevator, and that was prior to. So even the people that you think have it all don't really have it all. Mm-hmm. And plus, if you also if you have it all, what's left to strive for?
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's no contingents to even shoot for even better, because once you hit the pinnacle, it's nothing else there. It's all downhill from there.
Right, exactly. So I think, and the reason that we're discussing it is that I think to have these healthy relationships that we're looking for is to understand where we are. Another chick I seen Kevin talking to, she calls this a relationship show, okay? And Kevin, he gets into the reality that, men are looking for. Again, ladies, think about it. As soon as you get to a dude, say for instance, that's like Skeens, that's 6'2", he's an outlier. I forgot the small percentage of men that are 6'2" and over. So already outlier. Then a woman says, I want him to be wealthy, a CEO, outlier. I want him to be attractive, handsome, outlier. I want him to be in shape, outlier. I don't want them to have X kids. You put all these things where you want an outlier man. You're not an outlier woman, right? So anyway, this chick says, he asked her, and here's again where women get it twisted. A lot of these women bring up profession. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I'm a psychologist. That's cool, but for the most part, that's a reverse from how men and women think. Women look at what we do. Men don't look at what women do that much.
Doers.
You see what I'm saying? We are reduced to not just human. To salute to Zoe Williams. It's not what you are, who you are as a human being. You're reduced to just a human doer. If you're doing that thing that I like, if you're doing the things that I like, I can rock with you. But I haven't just evaluated you just as your essence of who you are as a human being. So anyway, this lady is saying that she starts off by saying she's successful. I believe she's a lawyer, right? So then Kevin he will ask, what's your age? Do you have any kids? What's your dress size? The last time you got on the scale, how much do you weigh? And this chick was, overweight. And he was saying high value men, which is again, a high value man talks about how much they make, their connects that they have. Except dudes that are CEOs and things of that nature typically are not going to look for a woman that doesn't meet a certain physical standard. That's just the reality of it.
Hence the term trophy wife,
right?
Farm candy. Now, not saying that there are some guys who like women with a little bit more weight, because right. There's somebody for everyone.
Absolutely.
So there's never going to be an end all be all absolute of what people are attracted to. But a lot of times those guys, because of social pressures, have to have a woman that looks a certain part. A la when people look in these different magazines of Essence and all these different modeling magazines of what they want the ideal model to look like. I mean, even if you look at you Google and see what is considered to be obese, you can still be bone thin and based off the chart that they have,
right?
Still say that you're obese as a male or female,
right? Yep.
So a lot of times when those women are making these claims of I want this, I want that, they almost treating the guy like a car. The second that you lose one of those, your value is cut in half. Just like returning the car. The second you take the car off the car lot, the value is diminished by 50%.
Right. And here we go again. Just to finish, this lady, once he brings up her weight and things like that, again talking about just the law of averages, that she's like, well, I have dudes that propose to me all the time, and I be turning them down. So again, ma'am, you're successful. You're saying you're turning down men left and right that want to marry you. Why are you calling a relationship show? What you calling for? You don't need no help. And going back to the other young lady that wants this man that's making anywhere between 500 to $1 million a year. He hears something Kevin hears something in the background. He said, "What is that?" And she said, "Oh, that's my grandma." He said, "You live with your grandma?" "Oh yeah, I live with my grandma and my mom." He said, but your expectation is for a man. Again, you are living with your mama and your grandma. Not knocking that, guys. Again, not knocking that. But again, we're talking about the reality of a situation. Typically, a man that is a CEO level, or again, a big time president, director, what have you, that's making $500,000 to $1 million a year is not going to come down and get a chick that's making 50 grand a year living with her mama and her grandmama.
Well, because for the most part, unless she's an employee,
right?
When would they're
not going to cross paths. Exactly.
That's
the reality.
It's almost a shoot in terms of the amount of time that they will come into contact with each other.
Right.
And one thing, I don't want people to get lost in the fact of, we're not saying settle.
No, not at all.
So I don't want people to listen and listen in a mono standpoint, standpoint of hearing this conversation. We're not talking about settling for a person.
Yep.
We're talking about identifying what is real.
Yes.
The things that you can and can't live with, what you have to have.
Yep.
And what you don't have to have. Because when you have certain standards of, I want a person that's 6'2", I want a person that's built like this, you're actually disqualifying yourself from people that may be the perfect person for you.
Right.
A lot of times what we think we want is not what we really want, or is not what we need.
What we really need, yes. Mm-hmm.
So when you have this collage of a man that you created, and just basically you have this gumbo of this perfect person, like, what was that, Weird Science?
Yes.
When they came up with
Take y'all back, 80s baby. Yeah, Weird Science. They literally built a woman.
Correct. And even throughout all of those, that process of coming out with all the things that you wanted,
yes,
she still wasn't the woman that they wanted, that they needed in their life.
They literally built. They took all these parts, the lips, the legs, the this, and made the perfect woman that actually has superpowers.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Really, what she was there,
to guide them.
Yes, correct. She was there to show you that regardless of what you think you want, I'm not really what you want.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
she was basically to show them that this is really not what I wanted.
Absolutely.
So that fallacy and that dream world of what you think and what you came to reality that really wasn't it for you.
Absolutely.
So we have to be realistic and be intentional with our selection process of quality.
Yep.
We can't look at a monetary value of a man and say, "Hey, I want the man that's making this much money." What if he loses his job? Mm-hmm. So is he no longer that man for you once he loses his job? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, okay, he has 6-pack. What if he gets in a car wreck?
Right.
Or he has an accident. He can't work out for a while. Or even during the corona situation, people gain weight. Is that person do you no longer love that person because of the circumstances that was outside of their control?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you actually have to really reevaluate. One, you need to reevaluate you. Because that mindset of outward thinking and outward looking at the exterior of a person, you never really allow yourself to break down those walls to find the true connection between the two of you, outside of the outside world and outside of all the monetary and the external look. Mm-hmm. Take all that away. Let's get in the dark. Mm-hmm. If the lights are off, mm-hmm. who are you and who am I?
That's it.
And can we connect? Can we talk?
Yep. Can we just be?
Can we find common ground? Mm-hmm. Can we laugh about nothing?
Yes. Can we just be?
Exactly.
Can we just be human beings, not human doers? Evaluate that. And me and Skeens talked about this at the beginning of the pandemic. And I'm not saying that we got our Nostradamus on, but I'm saying we got our Nostradamus on. We's like, during this time, this is going to cause, there's going to be a make or break with relationships. And you've seen relationships faltering left and right. Divorce rate literally during the age of the Rona is up. If you look at the stats, divorce rates are up because, again, people had to shelter in. And again, do I just like you as a human being? And the answer for many was no.
Yep. You couldn't run away from that person. Mm-hmm. The true identity of who that person was.
Right.
As well, they couldn't run away from you.
Right.
And then to take it a step further, you could no longer run away from you.
There you go. Absolutely.
So you had to come to grips with who you were, and as well as your mate had to had the opportunity to actually see that you really wasn't who I thought you were. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that because during the Rona, those high value qualities that you looked for were negated.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Your superpowers removed. Kryptonite everywhere. Like, dang, I can't move around. I can't give you the smoke and mirrors of taking you out to eat or taking you to this place where we can post pictures on the gram and we out here living it up and doing it. But y'all know people posting those pictures, living it up on the gram, taking pictures of their food, and did not connect not one iota while they was there.
And that was one thing I was about to say. Let's keep it real, right? A lot of people.
Yep.
And I'm going to say a lot.
Yep.
Of people that go out to the restaurants, go out to the clubs, go out different places taking pictures.
Yep.
You're not really happy.
You're not.
You're not really happy to be there.
Yep.
You're not happy with the company that you're keeping there while you're there.
Yep.
You're not really happy. It is all a smoke screen.
Smoke and mirrors.
To portray something that you really, in your heart of hearts, know is empty.
Yes.
I see. We went to a sports bar to watch the game a couple of days ago, and it would amaze me how many people in a sports bar wasn't even watching a game.
Right.
I see a table full of women.
Yeah. All phones out.
Taking pictures of themselves the whole time, taking pictures of the food, taking pictures. Now, it's one thing. It's nothing to take a picture of a meal and be happy about. One picture is enough. Hey, you can say, hey, I'm celebrating, I'm hanging out with my friends. You can take one group picture. You can take a picture of your food, your drink, whatever. One.
Yep.
But when you're snapping photos or you on Snapchat the entire time trying to make a movie of the situation, and that matter of fact, people say, "Oh, it's a movie." You know what a movie is? A movie is a lie. Because movie is not reality. Fiction. Oh, it's a movie tonight. Yeah, it is.
Fiction is.
Now when the credits roll, you're back to being who you are.
Right.
Clark Kent.
Once and for women, you go out. You put on a costume. You put on makeup.
It's a movie.
You go home and take your costume off, and real life is waiting for you. Just something to think about.
And it's waiting on you with open arms.
Just something to think about. And I mean,
give me a hug.
Right. And I'm saying women, but
men too.
Dudes. It's dudes. They go out now. They're too busy filming themselves and their homies to actually enjoy the moment.
Back in my clubbing days,
in the times that we went out, Schemes, we would just
you have fun. But then it got to the point in the show, and we're not exempt. When I see guys, y'all dancing the group dancing.
No women. There's no women around.
Out there looking at y'all like they look at you like you Bigfoot, and y'all over there dancing together.
Right.
I love my homeboys. Love y'all to death.
Yep.
do anything for you to a certain extent.
Right.
But we have to break this monotony up.
Yep.
And it's not, and when we say that, once again, it's not about talking to women for the sake of trying to take advantage of the situation.
Right.
It's something to learn when talking to the opposite sex.
Right.
There's a warmth within this conversation. There's something engaging, whether you can say support, whatever it is. It's just something that the conversation is better to engage with people of the women or people of the opposite sex or whatever, outside of just hanging out with your boy. If I'm gonna hang out with my boys and dance and be on the ground, y'all can do it at the crib. Save yourself the interest fee. Save yourself you buying drinks or whatever, or getting dressed. Y'all can sit at the house with t-shirts and hoop shorts on and watch the game and do that. But it's also, a lot of those guys are doing that because it's an advertising moment. I'm advertising on the ground. Oh, I'm out here doing it. I'm doing it up. We bossed up.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And
boss of what? Now, see, that's the thing. People we use a phrase.
Everybody's a boss.
I'm a boss.
Everybody's a freaking boss.
I'm a boss, and we bossed up. Boss of what? Now, if there's no collateral, if there's no gain, anybody can be a boss. But if your company has filed bankruptcy, what kind of boss are you?
Right. Come on. Now let's do this. Let's do this real quick. So we're gonna take this somewhere, but let's take a left before we go to the right. Okay. So talking about boss status for y'all. First of all, I wanted to give a shout out to just people out here in the game that's creating content. Dudes that we look up to in the game, and I want to shout my homeboys France and Book and all those guys over there at the MVP podcast. I want to shout out my man Scoop. We just did an interview the other day. He's got a podcast discussing rap. Scoop, don't be mad I forgot the name of the show. But he's discussing hip-hop, wellness. Shout out to my girl Charlesetta. She has a radio show where it's all women on the show. And, I was fortunate enough they asked me to come on to discuss. Shout out to Zoe Williams. Shout out to Joe Budden. Shout out to Charlemagne the God. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Shout out to all these guys. Shout out to $1 Million Worth of Game. Shout out to the 85 South Show. But all these content creators that me and Skeens watch and admire, most recently, Charlemagne, who is on The Breakfast Club, and he had a show on Loudspeaker Network called The Brilliant Idiots with comedian Andrew Schultz. He just recently signed a partnership deal with iHeartRadio for the Black Podcast Network or something, Black Effect.
Black Effect.
So it's a network of podcasts. They got the 85 South Show. They got
Nori.
They got the Nori Show. I think it's like 13 total. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he announced this other day. Now Joe Budden was talking about his deal on the Joe Budden podcast, where he was trying to strike up another deal with Spotify, but the negotiations didn't go said way because Joe was trying to be in full control, ownership, and license out his material for a certain time. So there's a faction of people online that are arguing, fussing, and fighting over these two gentlemen like they know them.
Yeah.
But talking about who's really a boss. And my challenge that I had, there's a gentleman that he responded to me a couple times, and he told me that I was telling him that basically it's a good look that Charlemagne is giving some other black folks. And he said he's not giving them a good look. So I'm going to let you, but just a second. My comment, and let me know what you think about this, Skeens. I said, we are people on here, some of us literally at or driving to a 9-to-5, managing somebody else's business in a company we don't own, and we're criticizing Charlemagne, saying that he's not a boss and he's exploiting black people. The hypocrisy of that was just crazy to me.
Well, ask one question. Kind of on the other side, okay. but it's a different. But
yeah,
that argument of exploitation,
right?
Doing it for somebody else, that a business that you don't own, is no different than beefing on the block that you don't own either as well. It's parallel.
What Jay say? Please don't die over the neighborhood that your mama renting.
So, and these people, and lives are lost over blocks that we don't own. But now, when we start talking about the perspective of those two, it's lesser scale, Malcolm versus Martin.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong. So the question you have to ask yourself is, can I be more impactful working within the machine?
Right.
Or do I create more impact by demolishing the machine because the machine was structured wrong? Okay. So when you look at the way Charlemagne is taking it, Charlemagne is saying, "Hey, I'm going to partner with the machine. I'm going to help these creators get another check. A lot of people lost a lot of money because of Rona, and I'm going to allow these people to use this platform."
Yes, of iHeart,
which is basically worldwide. They have they're syndicated in so many different regions. It's crazy.
Yep.
I'm gonna allow these people to build their brand up, but at the same time, iHeart is not like iHeart is doing it without nothing. iHeart is also being built up by these entities as well, because as much as you need me to build your podcast or whatever the item that you're creating, I need you just as well, because I need those eyes and that audience that may not have ever dealt with me. I need those eyes as well, because as soon as those eyes come to me, they're now in my quote unquote my funnel. And people that have the CMRs and stuff like that understand I have this funnel. So now I can market to these people in other ways. Yep. You may come in for the 85 South show, but hey, did you know I got
this over here too?
I got this. Yes. Hey, I have merch. Yep. I have a subscription for these other things. So it's a give and take. So you have to determine the value. Now the question is, I hope and I hope that those guys they kept their IP. And for those don't know, the intellectual property.
Intellectual property, yes.
So even if they're working for iHeart, I hope they kept their intellectual property.
Right.
Now, when you look at from the way Joe is looking at it, he's on the outskirts, and he's saying, "Hey, they're taking advantage of us.
Right.
Us as the creators, they need us as more than we need them.
Right.
Because we can do it independently.
Absolutely.
I remember when Dame Dash went on Breakfast Club like 5-6 years ago. He told them, y'all don't need them.
No, they need you.
They need you.
You're the talent.
And the conversation was awkward. No one got it. And Dame can be hard to deal with. But he was right.
Yep.
Because later, everything that he told them to implement, they started doing it.
Yep.
So sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable, but there's the conversation that you need.
Yep.
So he sparked that brain for change.
Yep.
So Joe is looking at it and say, hey, creators, they trying to take advantage of us. Now, the thing with Joe is, I, as the guy, because he said they have the #1 podcast there out of 5,000 some podcasts. I'm giving the information to you all. I want, every time I get information, my job is to come back and share that information.
Right.
Which is one of the things that we miss in our community, because a lot of people hoard information because of the less than mentality.
Yep.
So I'm gonna come give you all the information. Plus, if I am the guy, take a sucker deal.
Yep.
What do you think the label or the this entity is going to tell the number 5 guy?
Right. So
it's, if the guy took a sucker deal, how dare you think that you should get this?
It's no different, guys. Look at it. If again, look at a team. If you're the #1 player on the team and they give you a trash contract, everybody that comes after you is going to get an even trasher contract.
Well, it's no different than in the NFL. Every year when one quarterback, for example, gets a contract, he has to be the highest paid quarterback.
Yes.
And the next one, because you reset the market.
Every time. You set the market.
Because as you reset the market, the companies are also making more money. Mm-hmm. So if I take the same paycheck that I would have got 5 years ago, mm-hmm. but the entity's pot is increasing mm-hmm. because of my popularity or because of the work that we're doing as a community, mm-hmm. they're making 10 times more money. Mm-hmm. But you still want me to take the money from 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. So even what Joe's talking about, the contract that they signed, no one, because when they came into the podcast space, mm-hmm. it was pretty much an unknown.
Yes.
Other than Joe Rogan, it was pretty much an unknown.
Well, he was there before Rogan.
Yeah.
On Spotify.
On Spotify. Yeah. But especially on Spotify, he was the first real podcast that they had. So they didn't know how to monetize it. They didn't understand the power of podcast 2 years ago. Because like I said, the first day they went over there, the site crashed because they wasn't prepared for that kind of output. Mm-hmm. Joe, his podcast performed 900% above what they thought.
Projections. Mm-hmm.
So once again, that further lets you know that those entities don't always know what they're doing.
No.
So if I am outperforming the contract, not barely, I'm killing it. He said basically the first hour, we've already recouped.
Already.
How do you expect me to still take you want me to take a little bit more than what I initially got, but I provided so much more value to you.
Yep.
Because as we talk about, yes, you could say, Joe, they needed that platform. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they was already doing pretty good numbers before they got there.
Really, really good. Mm-hmm.
So when we started talking about who needed who, Spotify needed them more than they needed them because of what happened with them. Mm-hmm. Spotify was able to go get Gimlet.
There you go.
But they gave Gimlet $250 million.
Yes, sir.
They got some other entities that they spent $100 million or $50 million mm-hmm. because of what Joe's podcast did for that platform.
Yeah.
They allowed them. They created some legitimacy.
There you go.
For Spotify.
Yep.
So now everything coming out there, like, hey, they doing it, man. Let me get over there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But Spotify, instead of taking care of your cash cow, you also start looking at, well, if they can do that, I know so and so can do this. Mm-hmm. I know it. You're willing to go take a chance. It's just like even when the NBA, when you watch the draft. A lot of times they would draft an unknown. They would draft a high school kid over a player who may have been the player of the year in college and average 30 mm-hmm. because you're going off potential. Mm-hmm. I'm not going off what I know. I'm going off the potential that person may or may not be better than this one.
Right.
If I have a championship caliber team, mm-hmm. I'm going with what I know is going to keep me winning.
Right.
Now, if it's a reclamation project, we starting from the bottom, then I can understand why you going with a high schooler,
right,
an unknown entity, because you say, hey, I know we're not going to be good anytime soon.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't what happened with Spotify. Mm-hmm. They created legitimacy
instantly.
For that platform. So now you had other platform. If there was no Joe Budden, mm-hmm. Joe Rogan wouldn't have went over there.
Right.
Because mm-hmm. you created credibility.
Like you said, there was no podcasting formula, format, division, none of that.
Correct. So, which in terms gets to the Charlemagne effect. Now, Charlemagne was saying that Joe's business acumen wasn't correct. He went the wrong way, but
they're fighting two different battles.
Battles. But Charlemagne's analytics mm-hmm. came because of Joe.
Right.
You wouldn't have anything to go to iHeart and with this grand scheme of podcasts without the analytics that Joe provided,
right, mm-hmm.
from coming because of what he did on an unknown entity.
Right.
It is a quote unquote Fortune 500 company.
Right.
Same as iHeart.
Right.
So the platforms are the same in terms of big media entity,
right?
But but still,
in the podcast space,
the space that you're entering is at ground zero. Yes. So you can go to iHeart and say, "Hey, Joe did this on an unknown platform. What if I provide not just one of him? I got 13 Joes. We can do this number, and even if none of the 13 has the same impact as that one Joe,
right?
In terms of that one for one, collectively,
right?
We can match what he did for them, or even more,
right?
So the fight is different. Joe is fighting for ownership and stake because you're saying, hey, if I'm providing value, this kind of value for you, my value should be compensated as the value increase.
Absolutely.
I got skin in the game.
Yep.
If I'm bringing this kind of money to the entity, because you say they've generated high 9 figures,
hundreds of millions,
but you couldn't give me a Rollie. You want to give me a used Rollie?
Right? Couldn't get brand new Rolex. But not even used.
So we start talking about the ad money. The ad money is only coming because of me. So when I leave, the ad money goes away because I am the legitimacy.
There you go.
So there's no right or wrong in terms of the fight.
Right, and what we're talking about, guys,
perspective.
It's perspective, and as we're trying to unite, and the reason why we're shouting out different people in the space is because there's nobody that I don't want to see succeed and come up. And we're all going to be at different points at different levels of this game, but everybody is necessary. Everybody is necessary, especially when you're talking about that level of the game where Charlemagne, literally, like I said, those guys from what they did on the Breakfast Club, they're going
10 years
into the Radio Hall of Fame right now. Right now. You know, and 10 years is a long time, but they ain't one of these long-standing, 20, 30, 40 year, 10 years.
And that was one thing Joe pointed out. It's like, for 10 years, you all are not getting what
you're not getting what you're worth.
A worth standpoint, you're not getting what
you're worth.
What you provide
and
for them.
The conversation that you have to think about, we're going to move to this other part, is that when you're part owners, I got X amount in, you got X amount in. How they do it sometimes in the partnership game is that they give you some stake in it, but they're putting up all the bread. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's a decision that each boss, quote unquote, is making. Am I in a position right now where I want to put up my own money, or what I believe Charlemagne is doing? He's going to leverage this position to eventually get this to where he is full owner of.
So the question is, part of that is this: when you're taking certain deals that people don't really pay attention to, right, the fine print of the writing.
There you go.
Who has final say and creative control?
Boom.
Because I can provide you with an opportunity, but then I can muzzle you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason why you have a lot of artists that get shelved. They sign bad record deals.
Yep.
And then soon as I don't like don't like what you did, I don't like the fact you didn't speak to me or whatever it may be,
yep,
I can now shelf you. So you're not making money, you're not making decision because you don't own it.
You don't own it.
So you have to be careful with those partnerships. What is in that clause? What is the writing of that contract? So you have to be very meticulous when you sign those contracts, because just like they were talking about Kanye,
right?
And he was talking about the bad contracts and stuff like this, and it's killing me. Some of the people I heard Breakfast Club just they were talking about, I'm tired of artists signing bad contracts and complaining about the label. You should call people who got their masters. Now, Kanye is at a different level. That he's privy to certain conversations.
The new artists coming into the game.
The record label is a predatory business. So when they're constantly looking for the next 18 to 17-year-old up to 21-year-old artist, that new artist don't have access to Jay-Z.
He does not.
That new artist don't have access to Jeezy that owns his master.
And even if you get legal representation, you're not even at a position sometime to get the best legal representation.
Correct. So when they say it, it sounds good, and people, oh yeah, you're right, y'all should start.
Yeah, like I can just hop on, like, right. Say for instance, y'all, me and Skeens blow off of this show. Oh man, let me get Jay on the line and see how I need to have this lined up. Like, stop it.
Half of Jay people can't get in contact with Jay.
Come on, right?
So when they make those statements, yeah, to the naked eye, it sounds good. Yeah, you should.
It's not
real.
But
a lot of the artists that sign those contracts, one, those people are coming from nothing. Mm-hmm. Two, there's a reason why I say it's a predatory entity. Now, because it's predatory and it's kind of a little bit left, but it kind of goes in effect. And we'll talk about this more in depth another time about Dr. Dre's wife. She and the money that she wants. Now, she said that she signed a prenup. But she signed a prenup under duress.
Yes.
So, which in turns can null and void that prenup, right?
Yeah.
So, why the same thing can't be done for the artists?
Right.
Because these are young, impressionable artists that come from impoverished neighborhoods that basically at any point in time can be killed because of the environment they come from. Right. They sign these contracts under duress. I'm shocked I'm not hearing more people asking to be released to the contract because these contracts are signed under duress, as well as a lot of these contracts are also signed when the artists use the legal representation of the label.
They have
it's a conflict of interest.
You will sometimes literally have the label, who in many ways, again, you're going into business, but you're trying to get the best. So you have a lawyer that's representing both the plaintiff and the defendant. Essentially, that's how you look at it. Like, hold on, y'all same lawyer?
But
I'm representing both. Hold on,
he's on the retainer of the label. Now, who do you think that his loyalty lies to?
Come on.
The label, this entity who's giving me $6 figures every year, or maybe $7, or a new person that may or may not stick around.
Right, absolutely.
It is a conflict of interest.
100%. 100.
So
we just wanted to take y'all on that little trip, but like I said, as we go on left talking about boss, but going back, we're gonna go back to the right, as we were talking about relationships, expectations, being intentional about what we select. There's been a lot of going on with the Cardi B Offset pending possibly divorce. And I say pending because some people saying it's a publicity stunt, this, that, and the third. I saw something with Tyrese where, he was like, y'all, everybody's going in on Cardi B and Offset and my heart hurts. We need to pray for him, and it's another fractured black family. And I get that.
What more do you want from me?
I appreciate that, Black Tyrese. But if quote unquote what they're saying about Offset is true, and the reason that they're divorcing is because of a multitude of extramarital affairs, I'm not going to cry about another black family being fractured when he didn't care enough to maintain it himself. Now, of course, I want to empower people to put in the work in their marriage to stay together. But the question that Skeens and I want to ask again is Cardi B. Now, here's what we do again. And me and Skeens always talk about this.
Is there WAP whack?
Is the WAP actually WAP? Is it WACK? And women, what you have to understand, the part of the conversation is everybody, again, there was a big debate about WAP. What is it? What women have to understand, no matter how wet the WAP is or how good the WAP is, it's not going to keep him.
And basically that's
piggyback, not to cut you off, Skeens. Niecy Nash. I forgot and thought about this, y'all. Mm-hmm. First marriage, whatever. Second marriage, she was in an interview, I believe, and she says the way she keeps him is that she performs oral sex on him every day. She got a divorce and within a few months married a woman.
6 months.
Now, not knocking it, but what are we looking for?
But also, she was just giving relationship advice.
Come on, man.
You giving Steve Harvey.
right.
You giving me relationship advice and you going through it.
Right.
Now, I'll shoot Steve a little bit of bail.
Shoot him some bail.
Even though he give a lot of bad advice.
Horrible advice.
Maybe because of his failures, he can tell you.
Right. There's something to that.
Not to fail.
There's something to that.
He can tell you what went wrong with
There's
him.
something to that.
So in that case, in that stance, if he's coming giving you the story, the tales of what went wrong in his life, I understand that. Mm-hmm. But the guidance that he gives is some of the worst advice that you could ever find, because he wants you to play with the person instead of being real. And as we talk about, being intentional about what you want. Being straight up and down.
Be intentional.
I can respect whatever. If I can respect the honesty and directness, as long as it's done with tact.
Now, some of this schemes goes back to one of our early episodes. I think it was episode 1. Women are the worst decision makers.
Absolutely.
Now, the men are not above.
No, we're not. We're not.
So there's a part of it that is on offset. But as a woman, well, let me go back. Well, Cardi B comes from a certain style of life. She was running around with a certain type of guy. But because of Instagram, loving hip hop, and becoming a hip hop star, we've put her in a position where we expect her to make a certain type of decision that she is not even necessarily equipped to and has not even shown us that she can make, i.e. choosing an offset. Now, women, again, we go with the law of averages. A dude that is young, black, successful musician,
traveling
the world. I don't know if Offset has other kids, but the law of averages states he's probably not going to present to me the values that I'm looking for in a long-standing, married, committed relationship.
As well as he just because that's the person that you want, don't mean that's the person that you supposed to be with.
Right.
And more importantly, that may not be the person that you're supposed to be with at that time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So he may long-term may be the person for it.
Right.
But he still has some baking in the oven to do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, as well as I'm pretty sure she may have some as well.
Oh, no, she got something to do.
So, we can't, even though this is a microwave society, everything is not meant to go in a microwave.
Everything is not. And we have to, again, be honest about the selections that we're making. So, again, as me and Skeens have talked about, there's Cardi B's all out there that have chosen offsets all over the place. And it's what we talk about. You find yourself enamored with, in this case, and it's at varying levels. Sometimes it's at the level of an offset, but at every level, guys, there's the high level of that level. There's a high level if you work fast food, because there's the manager, there's the store, the guy that manages the store. As you go to Lowe's, there's a guy that's the shift leader, that's the manager that runs the store. As you go to Walmart, as you go up the ladder, there's differing levels. And sometimes based off being at the height of that level, we make a decision. Again, looking at him as a human doer, not who he is as a man. As just straight up as a man, as a human being. Who is he? What does he represent? What are his values? And you make that choice. You interject sex, right? You get pregnant. And you find yourself, okay, let's get married. He has never shown you as a human being that he's going to represent the values that you're looking for. So again, if you say that you can't properly evaluate the values, what are your values? What do values really mean to you?
And are your values fool's gold? So that's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about.
Okay.
Sometimes that thing that you value and that carrot that you're dangling and you're talking about these different things you like, it's fool's gold.
Right.
It's not really. There's nothing with it.
Right.
You value swag over a commitment, or it's just certain little things.
Here, and we're gonna. This will probably be one of the next coming episodes. We're gonna talk about substance over symbolism. Substance over symbolism. Have we become a society that is so drawn and so big on symbology, looking like it, and not actually being it? Again, that's me and Skeens talking about these social media false representation symbols, figments of imagination. You see somebody out place, like, that the same person? That chick don't even look the same. All the filters, snatching of the waist, shaping the face, cleaning up the skin. Symbolism over substance. And this is carried over to our relationships. We want something that looks like a real, loving, healthy relationship, but we really not putting in the work to give it the substance that we need. The substance is what's going to feed you. The substance is what's going to sustain you. Right?
I'm hungry, but I'm eating junk food all day.
Okay, I'm hungry. It's freaking the Hook movie. Yeah. Where the lost boy was sitting there with Peter trying to show him how to imagine some food. It's like the girl B. Simone. I manifested these edges. I manifested my job this way. So I'm working on it. I manifested. No, talk about no manifesting. We need substance.
Plagiarizing.
You know what I'm saying? Chick was plagiarizing, pulling for people's tweets and posts and stuff to make a book. Manifested. Again, she wanted to look like an author. She didn't put in the work to have substance, man. That's crazy. Substance. We want some substance out here. And I'm going to calm down. Want some substance, man. I was talking to one of the homies the other day. She's in the gym. You know who you are. And she said a dude followed her around the gym the whole time. And smiling, and wherever she went, next machine. Oh, you about to get on that? Or you going to get... And she was like, she had put a question on Facebook like, hey, why did this dude talk to me? And I was like, it's a product, again, of going all the way back, that because the gift and the curse of social media, we have lost the ability to have again, because Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is symbolic in many ways. Substance is when I can sit down, look you in the eye, and have a conversation with you. As other cat on YouTube, I forgot his name. Have a conversation in real life. In real life, substance. Do you have substance in your relationship, or is your relationship fool's gold, as Ski said? Is it smoke and mirrors? Is it a figment of your imagination? I had another homie, dude, if you would have seen her on I'm like, she would hit me up on the back. I'm like, y'all going through it? I just see y'all taking family photos. I love you. You're the love of my life, my everything, the air I breathe. Y'all going through it. Because, again, I want to look symbolic. Symbolic. I don't want to do the work to have a substantial, real relationship. And I think this is where, again, Why? And here, I'm not downgrading the importance of the action in a relationship. We got to get it in. Okay, that is the beautiful part. Intimacy, husband and wife. That intimate time is something that, as people, we can give many things of ourselves to a lot of people. But one thing that is shared specifically and only with the husband and wife is that intimate action. So that is important. But if your relationship is built on the sand of physicality, that's going to erode quick. That's not substance.
And just like you're talking about your friends that was on social media, with all these grandiose quotes,
right?
It just further proves the point. There are a lot of people that have a reality phobia.
Say more.
You're terrified of real life. You have a phobia. You don't want to, by any means necessary, to hide the truth from yourself.
Realophobia.
From others. That's right.
Realophobia.
So, hey, we need to put this in the book. If bootylicious can get in the dictionary, so can this.
Realophobia.
People have a phobia of what's real.
Man, because if I deal with what's real, the first place I got to start with is me.
Exactly.
I got to deal with me first.
And that's as real as it gets.
And that's realophobia. Man, Skeen's trying to bust us upside the head. Realophobia. And that's the thing about, again, if we're going to have substance over symbolism, we got to look right here first. And that's with a whole bunch of stuff that we see out here right now. Even this, again, false activism we see with some folks. Again, social media activists, just for the look. No other substance of what you're doing. But I took a picture of myself at this place that they were. Or I'm down here with a BLM sign. Okay, did you do anything else of substance? But no, I mean, I was down. I mean, I went home after that. I mean,
I threw the Batman symbol in the air. If you call Batman or Superman, we talk symbolism.
Yeah.
Thundercats, the symbol in the sky. Right. Batman, the symbol in the sky.
Right.
You ask for help.
Right. Absolutely.
Instead of looking inward.
Right. And again, anytime that, in all fairness and all joking, aside, but I never want to see any relationship break up. I don't. But what I do want to see us do, again, be intentional. And as we were talking about the beginning of the conversation of evaluating where we are and what we really need in a relationship. One of the things I love about my home, and I give a salute to my wife. I was telling Twiz and Chuck in the group chat the other day, is that my house is peaceful. My chick a hustler. She about a business, you know what I'm saying? And she does let me be a savage still. You see what I'm saying? They like, oh, Jay, man.
I would not be before you leave. Shout out, big homie. Shout out.
Shout out, E. So that's all. It's all a part of it. But things that I value that are substantive. And a man can come home and it's not no beef in the house. Man, I love coming here. I love being here. It ain't where I'm trying to make up some reason to stay gone. I'm ready. I always tell Trey every day, dude, as soon as I drive my car away from this house, I'm counting down the time that I get back to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because the substance of my life as a man, as a husband, and a father is in my family. That's my substance. For me personally, my substance is in my faith in God and who I am as a man of God and how I move in this world and how I treat people, how I show love to everybody. That's the substance. Anything else is extra. That's the substance. So all that said, what do y'all think about Cardi B? What do you think about WAP? Did you disagree with it? Do you got the WAP? Has that been keeping your man? Or have you found that it has diminishing returns? How are you selecting in your relationships? Are you looking for a 6-figure, 7-figure man as a norm, but wondering why you coming up short in relationships? Can you properly evaluate your wants versus your needs? What are your make or breaks? These are just some questions to ask yourself. But again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Got my man Skeens. I'm your boy Jay Carter. That's another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll see y'all next time. Peace.